Three men and a multiverse of sci-fi's finest spacecraft, but which ones can claim to be the greatest ships ever? Welcome to Space Doc Jury.
Space Doc Jury episode 35. I'm Lee and I'm bringing Species 8472's Bioship.
I'm Peter and I'm bringing the Holoship from Red Dwarf.
I'm Andy and I'm bringing the Bebop from Cowboy Bebop. Yes, I've had a sudden recovery from a nasty bout of folion radiation.
Yeah.
And passed it on to Pete.
Yeah, thanks for that, mate.
Yeah, nice. So, so welcome to this week's Space Doc Jury. Yes, as some of you on the Facebook group and Twitter may have noticed, there was a slight sort of moment a couple of days ago where we kind of thought things were going to go a bit wonky.
We were staring into the abyss.
We were, and the abyss was staring back at us.
It was calling its name.
Yeah, exactly. So, we weren't entirely sure we would be recording because Andy was going to be away on an away mission.
I was all scheduled for my away mission.
You were,
but then, as often the case in Trek, the weather turned shit, and I thought I couldn't be bothered until tomorrow.
So,
the red shirt was worrying you.
Exactly. I got to the shuttle. I looked down. I was wearing red, and I thought, you know what? I'm gonna sit this one out.
And everybody else on the away mission were part of the regular cast. And you thought,
yeah,
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks. I'm good. Thanks. Although I have point of order already.
Go on.
I have to start an argument with Lee.
Why?
Well, this is episode 37, not 35.
I did say 37.
You said 35.
Did I?
Yes.
You know what? I don't care. I've lost my ability to care. I really have.
Hang on a minute. 37?
Yeah. Why?
37?
Yeah.
Yes. It comes after 36, which was the last full episode we did.
Fine.
You're not Buck Rogers. You haven't fallen asleep and woken up in the 25th century, Pete.
It feels a bit like that.
You might have accidentally woken up sometime in the 18th, but
it's the 37th episode. This is the 37th episode.
37.
Yeah, 37th full episode. There have been.
Your Kevin Smith powers are really not very high tonight, are they? But never mind.
Oh my God.
I'm supposed to be the ill one.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm the tired one. You're the ill one, and Andy's the one who was about to be replaced by an AI. But
who isn't even supposed to be here today.
Wasn't even supposed to be here today.
There you go.
Oh my God. Oh.
We were saving up all our cultural kudos for episode 42.
Yes, that's to come.
Yeah, well, 37. Oh my God, 37 dicks. That's funny enough.
Well, there's the episode title.
There you go. 37 dicks.
We really should have gone with phallic spaceships with this one, shouldn't we?
Well, I did. The Bioship.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, apart from that complete fail on the Kevin Smith in references.
To be fair, it's been a long while since Kevin Smith was culturally relevant.
Yeah, it's been a long road.
Stop it.
Don't you start that.
Trust me, man. I've watched Scorpion twice. I know pain. You can't hurt me anymore.
No. At this point, it was masochistic because no one forced you to do that. That was all on you.
That's because I did that Thoth Zitty ship or whatever it fucking was.
You mean the shitty ship?
The shitty ship.
Yes, shitty ship.
Yes. So after that, I've literally got no fear anymore.
After that, you became a what are those things from Hellraiser?
Cenobite.
There you go. You became one of those. Black latex everywhere.
Yep.
Pierced nipples. And you're going, we have such sights to show you.
A Voyager Cenobite would look just like Neelix.
It's a fair point, actually.
Actually, funny enough, I was going to say a Voyager Cenobite would look like Neelix dressed as a Ferengi, which was the episode I accidentally stumbled upon on Saturday on bloody was it CBS Action? or horror film. What was it? Yeah, Horror Channel. So there.
Nice.
Yeah, that was like Slanesh Watch. That was bloody. Was it Neelix dressed up as the Grand Nagus Executor, talking in Ferengi? Oh, fuck me. That's a pain. That is real pain. But anyway, so it did throw Scorpion into sharp relief. Actually, I suddenly appreciated it a whole heap more. So yes, so we're going to do the city ship. Not the city ship. The Bioship, Holoship, and what was
fishing ship?
The fishing ship. Yeah, exactly. There you go. It's all things which were previously something else.
You could have borrowed my Popeye's tugboat.
Could have
Pardon?
done.
Euphemism.
But we're saving that.
I don't want to borrow your. I don't want to tug you or anything.
Certainly not my Popeye.
No. Ooh. Oh. Ow. Right. Okay. Well, last week or last time.
Previously on
Space Dog Jury, I lost, so I'll be going first. But before we do that, let's do the top 10, because we haven't done that for a couple of episodes. We've done the bottom 10, which got absolutely trounced by my ship, the Dark Star, which came barreling in and sat there with 28 points.
Well, I was going to say the top 10 still hasn't changed in God knows how long.
Well, it's worth just keeping everyone on point with it.
Reminding people,
exactly. So at number 10 of the top 10, we have the Dalek Mothership, 2005 edition, with 63 points.
Certainly not the 1966 edition.
Absolutely not, no. Number 9, we have the UNSC Spirit of Fire, still sitting there with a bit of slate roof on its head, with 64 points. Number 8, we have the Battlestar Pegasus, still hanging in there from like almost the second episode, with 64 points.
That was our first great argument. Fun times. We were young, naive. Anyway, then up at number 7 with 65 points, we have the Imperial Star Destroyer of Pointiness, followed by at number 6 the Battlestar Galactica itself, the Ronald D. Moore version, also with 65 points. At number 5 we have Jub the Jesus Ship, the Andromeda Ascendant, with 66 points. And at number 4, we have the SSD Executor with 68
Eggs and
points.
bacon.
Eggs and bacon ore. The tax officer, the Will Executor. Anyway, and then at number 3, we have the Ball Cube with 69. Also with 69, we have at number 2, the Vengeful Spirit, the Snowplow Dildo Cathedral of Doom. And finally, still sitting there just the same way as it always has, at number 1, the Death Star, the weapons platform DS-1 from Star Wars.
You don't have to say that. You say Death Star, they know what you mean.
I know, but I've still got it's written down. I'm saying it. I'm saying it if it's written down, and that's got 73 points.
I suppose there was more than one, so...
Well, yeah, you don't want to go for DS2, because that really didn't do very well. That barely even got out of orbit, to be honest.
It did. Diffuses in that one.
Yeah, exactly. So
Still had the shrink wrap on the seats. Damn it!
Exactly. He still had that new car smell. Anyway, so there you go. So that's that. So now it's time to get that out of the way. Now it's time to get on to our first ship. Well, as I said before, I absolutely crashed and burnt with the USS Shoe, which was the Dark Star.
I would just say though, if the Targaryen plague is plaguing Pete, we should give him the option if he wants to.
That's right.
Yeah,
you can be all right.
That's a good point.
Yeah,
you're an upstanding member of society for at least another 20 minutes.
I expect so. Yes.
Okie dokie. Well, on your head be it, sir. We gave you the out. What?
It's not my head I'm worried about, but anyway.
Oh dear. Oh dear. Right, he says, desperately trying to stall for
Sorry,
time.
I've got the super secure safety pants on. We'll be all right.
Oh my word. Well, there you go. Next.
Previously on shit you didn't want to know about.
Yeah,
Literally.
Well, actually, I was gonna say next minisode will be plagues and diseases. I think.
Yeah. Welcome to the world of Nurgle.
Oh no.
Plague Marines.
Yeah, if you thought Slaanesh was bad.
Really? What's that then? Nurgles?
Nurgle's all rotten.
Don't do it. Just
Nurgle. Is it Nurgle? A Nurgle Daemon Prince. What's that then? Images.
Oops.
oh my! What on earth is? Why?
I think we should do a Warhammer mini-sode. We'll get Gav Thorpe or something on to explain all this to Lee.
Yeah.
That's just like a big pus boil wrapped around a bollock. With some
that sounds about right. Yeah.
Did someone just have some like bad case of syphilis and just decide that they're going to turn it into a model or something?
Generally, yes.
Right.
And this is currently what Pete's looking like.
Browns painting those.
Wow. You just sneeze on it. I mean, what the fuck is... Okay, fine. That's it. Slaanesh.
Wait until you get into Nurglings. Let's move on.
Oh, yes. No, okay, fine.
Stop giving him ideas, Pete.
Right,
Cheeky
okay.
little imps full of disease.
Cheeky little imps full of disease.
Yes.
Wow. Anyway, the Species 8472 Bioship.
Dragging it back.
I'll tell you what, after that though, 8472 is actually going to look good by comparison.
It does. It does. It looks like some sort of smooth suppository with wings to stop it going too far in. But anyway, right.
They don't like it, Occam.
They don't like it yellow either way. Right, so Species 8472 Bioship was an organic vessel that was used by Species 8472 and had a similar genetic makeup to their pilots. Each craft carried only one crew member who acted as the vessel's pilot. The bioships were heavily armed and shielded, equipped with an extremely powerful energy beam, weapons that could destroy a Borg ship easily. Although the beam appeared less coherent than either Starfleet or Borg weapons, it was able to inflict much greater damage. For example, with the USS Voyager, it was knocked off course when a beam just missed it. The bioships and members of the species themselves were resistant to assimilation by the Borg, and the bioship's hull is resistant to any other conventional weaponry too, including reflecting sensor scans and tractor beams. Inside a bioship, the walls and floors appear to be made of flesh and similar to spiders' webs used as an EPS systems conduit. Structural supports were made of bone, and the ship's computer was similar to a nervous system and used neuropeptides to communicate. The bioships themselves contained organic conduits which carried an electrodynamic fluid, possibly for the use as an energy source, and a binary matrix laced with neuropeptides, which was also present and theorized to be possibly the computer core. The ships were capable of warp speed and transmuting between dimensions. The bioships were able to be native in both fluidic space and as well as vacuum of normal space in our dimension.
Oh, I've known far too much about fluidic space just of late.
Oh, no. Stop it. Anyway, they were also equipped to detect pressure waves that were typically created from a vessel crossing fluidic space from normal space. An interesting feature of this ship was that 8 of them, when combined around a single ship, could actually focus their laser beam power and basically do a blast so powerful it could destroy a planet in a single shot. When the Borg entered fluidic space, they would be forced back by any resistance, and defense against this ship was only found by the Voyager's crew sticking forms of modified nanoprobes and... Oh, God, it's pressing a button and Harry Kim waving his arms about for an hour.
And 2 hours of technobabble.
Exactly. A little back history, a little behind the scenes. Species 8472 bioships were also created as a CGI model by Foundation Imaging's senior visualizing effects animator, Adam Mojo Leibowitz. They had their two forms of weaponry were devised by visual effects supervisor Ronald B. not D. Moore, and visual effects coordinator Cheryl Gluckstein. The Bioship was featured on the menu screen of Season 6 Voyager DVD. However, Species 8472 does not appear in the 6th season of Voyager itself. In Star Trek Online, the video game, the ship is also identified as a Nicor-class cruiser. There you go. Shall we rate this bugger?
suppose you've suffered for it.
I have.
Would mean otherwise.
Multiple times, I will have you know. Jesus Christ. So, we haven't got an awful lot of stats here, so we're going to have to do a little bit of digging around. But the one stats I do have, he says, going and trying to pull them up casually, is the following. That it is 200 metres in length, which puts that, I'm looking under the scoring for the first time in ages, that puts it as a 2.
It does.
It does indeed. So that's it. We're off to a flyer. Its sublight speed is the same as any Trek ship. You never really see it overtake anything or do anything other than normal Trek stuff. So whatever the Trek, what is it? Sublight is 5, isn't it?
Yeah. I think Trek sublights, 5.
Now, FTL. Here we go. Here's our first discussion point and possible argument for the day. Essentially, it's...
Oh, no, there's not going to be no one cares enough about this shit.
Okay.
No one cares enough about Voyager.
Trust me, I watched this fucking thing. I care. I'm going to make this goddamn count. So, this one travels into fluidic space, traverses a short distance in fluidic space, jumps back out of fluidic space. That is a bit like transwarp, but it is also a bit like jump gate technology from B5. So, I'm asking for a 3.
You can have a 3.
Okay. Maneuverability. They are extremely maneuverable. Like super.
About all over the
they
place,
are absolutely, completely like fish, which is kind of how they were animated. So I'm going to ask for a 5 on that one.
Fair.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Firepower. They can single shot a capital ship. This much is true.
Can they?
Yes, they do. You see one...
I see it shooting at a Borg ship and blowing chunks off of it.
It blew right through it in a single shot, and then basically takes it apart when the Borg doesn't sort of go down in a single shot. So
it single shot it, except that it didn't single shot it.
Well, in terms of the target it's going for, I think you're in a sort of special circumstance, shall we say? Because if it was fired at another ship, it would have been game over. And in fact, they make a point of that with the Voyager, which is how they get it out of the way. They literally don't want to even be hit. And so the big sort of da-da-da-da is when you see the 8472 basically charging up to give Voyager a kick in, because it would be a one and done. The fact is that they blast through a Borg cube, and then they basically, because it starts to re-heal, they sort of the one ship just picks it apart. So I don't know. I was looking at, he says, going back to the firepower, I was looking at around about a 10. A 10 or 11.
11 is a shadow ship.
11 is a shadow ship. It's more than city leveling by a long chalk, and I'm not including the special take a planet out in a single shot, because that requires multiple ships. But as far as I'm concerned, this thing, you don't want to get hit by it by any means. And it does act in many ways like a shadow ship. Yeah,
I think that's a fair comparison, so I'm happy with 11.
What about you, Andy?
Oh, I don't care enough.
Nice. So 11 it is. Woo! Active defense. None that we see. It seems to have a sort of. It has Trek shields, but that it has nothing in terms of actually defending itself, apart from the fact you can't lock onto them. So I don't know if that counts as active defense or a special.
No, that's more of a special, and you get 1 for your maneuverability anyway. So.
Okay, 1 for the maneuverability. And for passive defense, it has really super duper strong armor. I mean, properly, like, well above anything that Trek stuff has.
I'd peg it Vorlon shadowy sort of levels.
Vorlon shadowy sort of levels. Where's that? Because I was going to say, because the Pasteur got a 4, and I would put it above the Cornish Pasteur. Sorry. Yeah, the Shadow Battle Crab got 3.
Really?
Yeah, for passive.
What did a Vorlon get?
Vorlon.
Where's the Vorlon?
I'm trying to find the Vorlons now. Find Vorlon. Vorlon oh, that's Vogon.
Yes, Vogon. That's an entirely different. There you go. Vorlon transport. Oh, we gave that free as well.
Yeah.
Well,
see, literally, it takes shots and it takes a pounding from a Borg vessel.
So does the Voyager, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah, but the Voyager's protected by plot shields, which are far more powerful than anything ever.
Quite frankly, so 8472 was protected by they're the big bad now shields. Because the next time they showed up in which episode is it? There's the one when they find the Starfleet Academy.
Right.
8472. And at that point, you sneeze at these things and they're gone.
Yeah, but by that point, they've got those amended nanobots attached to a torpedo that
which I never mentioned, but I take your point. Like I said, I don't care, mate. Whatever you want.
Wow, I could storm home in this. You might regret that. So okay then, over to you, Plague Pete. What do you think?
So not perfect shields, presumably.
No, but perfect enough, and certainly higher than a lot of stuff.
Well, they're either perfect or they're not.
Typically get. Well, they're not perfect.
4.
Yeah, the Enterprise E got a 3, and the Pasteur got a bloody 4, which I still don't understand.
Yeah, I don't understand it either.
Yeah, that's going to hold on.
I don't understand why the Enterprise E got a 3 for shields, because Trek shields
are 4.
Yeah. No, Trek shields we put down as 3 because the Enterprise D got 3.
I think I thought we'd upped it to 4 because I've got 4 as Trek shields.
Oh, maybe we had a little amendment on the way. Yeah. Okay, well, we'll there you go. All the Trek shields are having to be reevaluated. Put a greys on all those.
Yeah,
we'll refine that in the pub at some point. Okay.
It all depends on how much you want to protect 5 as being perfect and you can't possibly damage it, or whether you want to say
you do see them getting destroyed, don't you?
You see them getting destroyed after they've been infected by those nanobot things, but before that they don't at all. They're just the Borg ship just fires at them. The transporter beam doesn't lock onto them. Nothing stops them. They just carry on going. They don't even pause.
Go on, that sounds like a 5 to me.
Yeah, have your 5.
Woo! Yay me! I have to have a sick co-host and a completely apathetic co-host. Woo! This all works. This is in my favour. Special. Well, you can't lock onto them. You can't see them on radar. I'd say those were special, and they also have. Well, no, that special doesn't count as special, but they can also blow up a planet by locking together, but that doesn't count.
No, not as a defense.
Your stealth gets you 1, I think, and that's about it.
Stealth gets me 1, and what? Being immune to tractor beams doesn't count.
Well, it's kind of under your stealth, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, fair enough. Crew 1, which gives me a 1.
Yep.
Yes, there you go. That's easy. Competence.
Go on. Go on. What do you want for competence?
Well, okay.
Bearing in mind, the original intention was to stop the Borg getting into it, and then they decided to go and pick a fight with them because they can. And then their plan to take over the Federation was to build a replica of Starfleet Academy.
Yeah, I'm not. I was basically going to peg them at a 2. Basically, as a race, species 8472 itself isn't nearly as fearsome. It suffers from the standard Trek thing. We've made a villain too powerful, so therefore, when they finally turn up, they're going to be all fallible by the lack of human emotions, and it's just like, oh, do me a favour. I mean, 3 is probably as high as I'd even think about going, so I'm throwing myself at your mercies on this one.
How many times do they succeed?
Well, in terms of when 7 of 9, when she's still part of the collective, she turns up and basically, all but admits without admitting it to Janeway that basically the Borg are getting their arse kicked every time.
Because the Borg are shit.
They're not shit. They're just Voyager just defanged them.
By the time we get to Voyager, the Borg are shit.
Yes, there you go. That I'll accept. I mean, by the time we get to Lore running around with screaming bloody Borg, that was when it all went wrong. As soon as Hugh turned up, that was when the Borg...
Hugh, the Borg Queen, and Scorpion onwards just kind of fucked over the Borg.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean... So, I mean...
we gave TNG Borg like Best of Both Worlds Borg are free.
Yes.
Which I was still at the protest, but we gave them that. And I don't think 8472 are that competent.
Okay, so what are you saying, a 2? They're not a 1.
Well, I'd peg them at a 1, but that's based more on their stuff from that next episode on, which I can't remember the name of it, and I would look it up, but again, just can't be asked.
Like I say, I think it's called Prey, I think. Or is that... No, Prey's the one...
Prey's the Hirogen episode.
Yeah, the Hirogen... Oh, we're not doing Hirogen. No way are we doing Hirogen.
I don't know. You've done the VOF and you've done this. You seem to put a role here.
Just stick with it, yeah? Okay. Right.
In the Flesh, there you go. When you get to In the Flesh, and that whole episode makes no sodding sense whatsoever. No. Their super scheme and all of that sort of bollocks there. Again, it's like the Borg had no way to get into fluidic space. The only reason they kept coming back in is because 8472 kept coming in to pick a fight with them.
Yeah.
So I'd pick them at a 1, but if you want to give them 2, I'm not going to argue.
Well, Pete, what?
I'm more comfortable with 2 than 1, certainly.
Yeah.
Well, there you go.
So there you go. 2 it is. Okay, exterior realization. Here we go.
Yeah.
It is the finest, cheapest, lightwave CGI that you can possibly get, which is Voyager CGI. In places, I thought it looked quite nice when they actually obviously had time to render it with shadows. And then there's moments when you see it and it just looks like someone's thrown a spatula down a well. It's really variable. I mean, there's the shot when you first see the ship and it comes out of fluidic space and basically annihilates that Borg ship. Is a really nice scene. I mean, regardless of what series it's in and all that kind of stuff, the way that's done is kind of like you're like, oh, I haven't seen that on telly for a long time. Ooh, that's quite cool. And I sat there and I had a good thought. I suddenly held the slight tinglings of, actually, this could be good, and I may have misinterpreted all the rubbish of...
No, wait, it's Voyager. No,
yeah, exactly. And then the music went... No, actually. But I would say this isn't particularly good CGI.
No.
There have been renders of it since, which have made it look better. So you can look around online and find nicer looking versions of the ship.
Can you share some with the class?
There is one on DeviantArt. I will find it. Hold on one second. But
it's just I don't think I've ever seen a good shot of it.
Okay, fine. Bioship. Yeah, Bioship 8472. I had all.
I've got a shot here of 3 of them by a nebula, which is a bit meh.
No. There's this version, which is this shot is from a video game. So I'm just going to copy this image. So it's from a video game. It's not very nice, but the point was, he says, sticking it in the chat. There you go. Or I'm going to. Can you see that? Did you see that?
Yeah, I got it.
Right, okay, fine. That's not a really nice one, but it looks better than it did on the bloody show, and that's a start. And you can find a lot better ones than that. And I will find one better than that, and I will send it to you when I do. But basically, all I was going to say was, you can find some that look really nice, and you can find some that look fucking awful. And so I was going to ask for a 3. So, being CGI of that era.
Well, you know me and CG. I'm a big, let's say, defender. I'm much more sympathetic to CG ships as a whole.
Yes.
And I'm a big proponent of the design of a ship counts just as much as the realization. Mm-hmm. We've had many an argument over Babylon 5 on such a thing.
Yes.
I've typed into Google 8472 Bioship image search.
Yeah.
I have a page of shots of this, and the only shot which looks even remotely, and I'm using finger quotes here, good, is the cover from the Starship collection. And that's a grainy shot as it is. I don't like the design particularly. I don't think it looks particularly imaginative. Yeah, I think Babylon 5 did better 5 years earlier. And yeah, it's just the only thing worse, in my opinion, from the design of the ship is the design of the species. This was, of all of the ships Voyager encountered, and they encountered some utter guff.
this is in the bottom 5%.
No. See, I'm up to a point. I'm with you, but I'm not gonna have. I can't look at this and say that this isn't as good as half the CGI stuff that we've brought so far. I mean, I just can't. I mean, some of the things we've brought so far from video games have been really good, and then other stuff which we brought from Babylon 5 and what have you has been just as blurry and ropey as this.
I'm not talking about the blurry and ropey and realization, and that's also why I was like, if you could show me a really good render of the design, I'll take that into account. What you sent me is a schematic shot from by your own admission, a game.
Yes.
It's not a good shot of it in of itself. And like I said, I've got a full page here of shots. I can't find a single. If you can find me a shot which you say that is a good representation of his ship here, I will look and I will judge it on that. But I'm looking at these and I can't find anything here which is leaping out to me saying this is a good design. I'm purely talking about it from a design aesthetic. I'm not talking about how it was realized in Voyager. Because again, that was 20 years ago. I'm not going to judge it on that. I just think the design is pants.
Okay, fair enough. So what are you saying then for this? Because I was asking for a 3, but what are you going to say?
I will go no higher than a 2, and even Matt's under protest.
Okay, so I know where this is going. Pete?
Yeah. It's not good. And it's all very well saying it looks quite nice in sort of promotional stuff, but I always judge things on how they actually appeared in the story we're talking about, and they were just a blurry mess. So 2 is definitely as high as I'm going.
Fucking hell. Well, if that's as far as you'll go, then I think 2 is what I'll take. Interior, I'm not even going to bother. That's a 1. It's fucking just 1.
Yeah, and that's only because you kind of see something.
Yeah, and that is, and what you see is it's everything that's wrong with Trek when it runs out of budget. It's literally like everything but plastic bags spray painted yellow stuck to the walls. I mean, it's just no.
At least there was no citronella candles, though.
Well, yeah, exactly. At least they didn't put like 10,000 tons of Vaseline over the lens, except when they rendered it, obviously. But anyway, so yeah, I just no, we're not doing that. So that's 1 for interior. Science. Yeah, fluidic space. I think we're away with the fairies, to be honest. That's a 1.
A 1, sir?
A 1. Well,
a 1, sir?
Yes, because what they did do in fluidic space was actually scientifically correct. They didn't use radar. They actually detected vibrations within the fluid.
I'm sorry, what they did in the magical make-believe place made sense for the magical make-believe place.
As ever with Trek, it has a veneer of science over it, so I'm willing to give it a 1 for that.
Yeah, and
where was the veneer of science?
That whole stuff about how fluidic space was supposed to work. I mean, they had some rules.
But the fluidic space is not a thing.
Well, this is true, neither is hyperspace, but, we haven't penalised people so much for that. So.
Yeah. I mean,
fine. Just take one.
Okay, now for the one that I just know it's just everyone's taking a run up for this one. The cool factor.
I'm legitimately curious as to what you're going to give it.
I'm going to give it a 2 because for me, watching it this time round, and okay, arguments about the design aside, I thought the general idea of a ship that was alive inside Trek being done in a way that wasn't, it's a space whale again, was quite... Yeah, exactly. You didn't have Tin Man stuck to your back of your hull or something that looked like a jellyfish that was draining, souring your milk and all that kind of crap. I mean, it was actually a first attempt of Trek to do a Babylon 5 style organic ship and take a step in towards harder science fiction concepts, and I quite appreciated that from that angle. It's not the best representation of that kind of thing in science fiction by no means, but it was Trek doing something different. And regardless of how you feel about 8472 itself, the fact that it was an alien that wasn't just a man with a Cornish pasty on his head from Vancouver, it just was refreshing. So I give it 2, and that's why. Your silence speaks volumes. I can already expect the zeros coming flying. Anyway,
you've already got me on a soundboard saying it, so I don't even think I need to say it.
Mark it 0.
There you go.
There you go. Yeah, okay. Well, go on. So you're going to give it a 0. So what about you, Pete?
I'd give it less if I could.
Yeah, I bet you could.
I'm going to give it 1 for being Trek.
What?
Well, there you go. That did better than I expected. Yeah. So that's the Bioship, species 8472 Bioship, and it weighs in with a rather respectable 43 points. There you go, 43 points, which puts that around the same level.
Slave 1, Serenity, the Saratoga, the Axiom.
Yeah, and better than the X-Bomber.
Well, yeah, but I mean that should be a given.
Yeah, and the Odyssey. Yeah, it's better than the Odyssey, the Milano, and the Nostromo. Not so sure.
Are you proud of yourself now?
No,
are you proud of yourself,
no.
Metcalf?
It's the second. It's the second time in a week that I've regretted my life choices. Yes, but anyway. So there you go. So that was the 8472 Bioship with 43 points. That went well. So, now it's time to move on, and this is going to be really interesting, I think, because I think this is going to be a bit of an argument, to our second place from last week, which was Benny's Lego spaceship. So that makes it yours, Pete. So over to you for the Red Dwarf Holoship.
Huzzah! Yes, I'm going to have to try pretty hard, though, to beat the arguments from last time.
Go on, then.
Yes, as featured in the Series 5 Red Dwarf episode of the same name, the Holoship Enlightenment was captained by Hercule Platini, leader of an elite crew of holograms. Oh, and Rim was briefly a crew member, having cheated at the entrance test. Though in one of those out-of-character moments common in this era of Dwarf, he suddenly gets a dose of conscience when he realises he was ousted and joined up and someone's back out again. It's, as I said, this is not the best episode of Season 5 by a long way, but the ship itself is at least interesting. It's an experimental ship, stripped completely of light, having 0 mass and volume. It's all the science, isn't it? Meaning she can travel as fast as tackle is, faster than the speed of light. As well as bridge and living quarters. Floor 3125 is dedicated to sports and sex. Woohoo! Sign me up. Yep. I would be rather adding to the volume and mass, and therefore I'd probably just fall through it, wouldn't I? But never mind.
Yeah.
The model was built by Paul McGuinness from Perspex to give it an ephemeral look, and was designed to change shape, though this is never actually seen on screen. Instead, we get it in a sort of strange S-shaped configuration for the most part. Mm-hmm. And I found a reference on a forum called RPF, where someone was claiming back in 2013 to have purchased the model and put pictures up and everything, so it looked like he had, and was intending on restoring it. But who knows if anything actually came of that, because like the thread ran out in just a couple of posts, so right. Presumably they kind of gave up after a while. But there we are.
Yeah.
So yes, it's a shiny thing of shininess that moves really fast, but does rather stretch the bounds of science.
Yeah.
Size is going to be difficult.
Yeah.
You've got 0 mass and 0 volume, so that presumably means 0 dimensions. I don't know. My science isn't up to this.
Well, yeah, I mean that, but by definition.
Yeah, I mean we don't normally give anything 0 for size, but in this case, I think actually.
Well, the only reason we ever gave the Button Moon ship or even Benny's spaceship a 1 was because there was volume to it.
Yes, however small.
Well, I mean,
in this instance, no.
I mean, but then again, it is represented by a model, and it does have decks and physical space within the decks. So we have to at least acknowledge that it has a volume of some fashion.
But it definitively states it has no volume.
A volume, yeah. He says 0 volume.
Ships of no mass or volume able to travel as superlight particles, tachyons, through wormholes and stargates, crewed by holograms of great genius and bravery.
And they've taken Rimmer? He should fit in just perfectly.
I watched the episode earlier on, and it has one favourite line. It's an excellent idea, except for 2 small problems.
Oh, yes, it's a running
We don't have any shields. And 2, we don't have any shields. I realise I've stated this twice, but it was such a colossally stupid thing to say, it bared saying twice.
Oh, yeah. I've got to ask one other question.
Uh-huh.
And this is maybe going back to my bitterness at the loss of Sovereign. But
is it eligible?
Is it actually eligible?
Given it has crew.
It has crew, and it is capable of travelling between planets. We didn't actually see a situation where a ship of no volume or mass would come across us. So technically, it is eligible. But it's getting a kick in the nuts for science, but it's fucking eligible.
But if you have a crew of computers.
Well, they're not computers, though. They're
not computers. They're simulations.
Simulations. So they're not real people.
Well, that's a deep question.
Then you start getting into Cylons, Daleks, the Borg.
Well, no, the Borg have organic components, and Data is provably a creature that thinks, therefore it is. However, light bees. It's basically
it's more to it just the light bees, though, isn't it? That's the thing.
Yeah, it's and again you're into things like the Doctor on bloody Voyager and all this,
but he's not flying the bloody.
This way, I don't know if you want to have this argument here and now, but I am inclined to say it's eligible because it meets our two criteria of having a crew and of being able of travelling between planets.
You didn't mention the crew had to be alive.
No, that's very true. I mean,
Sovereign was ineligible purely because it didn't have.
It was the crew. It was the crew. It was a whole ship of crew. But
no, it didn't have a crew. Because if you start saying it's a whole ship of crew, then we have issues with Cylons and stuff like that, and I don't want to get into that either.
No, I was genuinely just curious. I wasn't really up for a fight on this thing.
I think it might be. I tell you what. It might be a mini-sode in of itself about things like that. Or maybe it's something we could put to the audience, and maybe at some point we'll do a have your say. You can be the final arbiters on this. But
yes.
The rules as we currently have them, this is eligible.
Right. So there you go. A ship of no light or mass, and no size or mass.
Yeah.
Okay. Right. Well,
thanks. So for the first time ever, that's the size of 0.
I feel like I've achieved something tonight.
Well, yeah. But the thing is, I mean, you say size of 0, but clearly there is a ship model thing we can measure sitting right in front of us with a picture of the Enlightenment in an alternate configuration.
You remember how I was kind of exacerbated by the whole TARDIS thing?
Yeah.
Welcome to my world.
Yeah, but the TARDIS has measurable things in it. If you've got a sun in a big box in the middle of your ship, you know that the ship's got to be big.
TARDIS has volume. This does not.
Yeah. I mean, in terms of internal volume, the interior is going to be interesting, but in terms of actually size, they have to fly along it. The Red Dwarf passes by it. I mean...
Oh, it could just be that this one's close, and these are far away.
Theoretically, it should just fly through the dwarf because it has no volume.
It should, yes.
Yeah, and theoretically, it should be a cloud of projection matrices. So,
well, I mean, I was going to bring that up when we got to the science. It's just where is the stuff which is powering the lights and the tachyon? And I said, science is getting a bit of a kicking.
It is today.
Yeah. Okay. So how do we do this then? I mean, what do you want to do? You want to give it a size of 0, or do you want to give it a size of infinite size, in which case it goes right up to 15?
Just 0.
0.
Wow. That's a good start.
Yeah, I know. That's brilliant.
Yeah, you've outdone yourself today, Pete.
An all-time low.
Yeah. Okay, so sublight.
Sublight. 0 mass means it can travel at infinite speeds with no squishy crew to worry about.
Yeah.
So 5, I guess.
Can't argue with that logic.
Can't argue with that logic, no. And FTL, we know that it can be...
It's a time ship.
Yeah.
Yeah, effectively.
So that's a 6.
That's a 6.
Oh, my beans.
I know I wasn't so bothered about size.
Yeah, I know.
Maneuverability, it can do what the hell it likes.
Because
so that's 5.
So that's
He's
5.
right, you know.
Okay, now firepower.
Firepower, there is no evidence they have any firepower whatsoever, so that's a 0, sadly.
They don't need any, to be honest.
No, nobody can harm them, so...
Yeah, defence.
Yeah, that gets interesting as well. So,
active, you got one.
For maneuverability.
Yep. Okay, active, you have one. They can't shoot it. No, you can't shoot this ship.
This is the weird thing.
It can't actually be damaged. So
you can't damage it. Well, this is the weird thing, because you can't damage it, but it doesn't actually have any armor.
Because it doesn't need it. So it's
Wow.
either 5 or 0.
It really is. It's because it's not actually heavily armored. It's just it has no mass.
So in theory, this is Schrodinger's spaceship, because the thing is, it could be as big as we like or as small as we like.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah. So in theory, it should be getting maximums on everything except firepower.
Because crew, we know crew numbers and stuff like that and everything else. But it's, I mean, for the defense, because I was just thinking about this when I was watching it earlier. It's not a heavily armed behemoth. It's not like the Red Dwarf, which is layers of armor and stuff like this. It's not shields. It literally has nothing because it doesn't need anything.
Yeah.
So I would say, I would give it 0 for passive, but then I'd give it something for the special because it doesn't need it.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
Wow. Okay. Okay. I feel like I've just done like Bugs Bunny and just run straight off the edge of the film. Right. Okay. So what you're going to give it? Special? You're going to give it 1 because it doesn't need any defense.
Yeah.
Well, I think you get 1 there. I also think you get 1 since the crew can pretty much just teleport anywhere they want.
Yes, that's very true.
Shields be damned and everything.
And all your crew are geniuses. Except Rimmer, obviously.
That's going to come under competence, so we'll not worry about that under special.
Yeah.
Okay.
Wow. Yeah, I think just 2 there, really.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah. Fine. So crew size.
Okay, well, we do have some figures for this at least, which is helpful. Cool. It's just under 2,000, so that's a 6.
2,000. Wow.
Yep. 2,000 holograms.
2,000 holograms. Okay, so that's a 6.
And then in terms of competence, they're all supposed to be super geniuses, so that's a 5.
Point of order, my lad.
There was one bringing the average down.
They're all supposed to be geniuses, and yet willingly welcomed Rimmer onto the crew.
Yeah. But then, thankfully, he withdrew his acceptance.
He withdrew his acceptance. He withdrew his acceptance.
Yeah.
But I think that alone takes him down at least 1.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to account for the fact that Rimmer was actually part of the crew as well.
Only, not theoretically. He was offered a place, and
he accepted it. No, he accepted it, and he then resigned. Yep. He was part of a crew, uniform and special logo, everything.
Okay, 4 for competence. Then.
4 for competence, then. Okay.
As per usual, Rimmer dragging everybody down.
Exactly.
To be fair, he should have dragged him down a lot longer if he'd been on it for any longer.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Okay, so
badly fixed drive plate later.
Yeah, exactly. Gazpacho soup. So, what about exterior then?
Realisation. It's a nice model. As I say, it's constructed out of see-through perspex to give it that ephemeral look. I'm not so keen on the weird S shape, I must admit. But when you've got no mass, you don't have to worry about aerodynamics. So I was pitching for a mid-range 3 for that.
Andy?
To be perfectly honest, I think this is one of the better ships we see in Red Dwarf. I'd have probably given you a 4 if you wanted it. It's kind of nicely lit in the picture on the old Red Dwarf wiki there.
Yep.
And again, it stands out. It's kind of like a cross between the Cygnus from what's it called?
Black Hole.
A black hole sort of thing, and again, just something out of the BBC broom cupboard. It's got that kind of a vibe. But I mean, it's kind of nice with all the lights and everything on it. And again, it looks different from anything else we see. I'd be happy with a 4, but if you want the 3, I'm not going to.
No, I'm happy for the 4 if you're going to give it me.
Fine. Okay, 4 it is.
You've got no opinion there, Lee?
Well, only that it looks like Perspex. When you can see what the thing looks like,
but again, it's supposed to have no mass or volume. So,
but all I was going to say was to me it looks like one of those kids' water pistols that you used to get from like cheap
super squirter.
Yeah, from like cheap news agents.
Again, that was my ass earlier.
Oh my god!
We're going to have to definitely put an explicit warning on this bloody cast.
Right. Okay. Shame we weren't doing anything from Dreamcatcher. We could have done shit weasels.
Yeah.
Anyway, right. So, what about interiors?
Well, it's the best the BBC comedy budget can produce, so we're not talking Star Wars or Trek standards here. We see several rooms, including the bridge, but they all look much the same, and they're clearly redresses of the Red Dwarf bridge sets anyway. So, again, most I'm looking for that is a 3.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't even see the Sexatorium.
No, I know, it's a big disappointment.
It is a big disappointment. Okay, so 3 it is. Okay.
I'd be more at 2 myself, but
I'm not inclined to argue with it, to be honest. I mean, it's a set that looks like a set and it does the job. Yeah. I mean, it's not it wasn't like 2 is Dark Star. I mean, that was just it's not Dark Star.
Fine, it's not Dark Star, yeah.
Or the Pasteur, or the Life Force vampire ship with its puckered butthole doors. So
back into the sex stick again.
Yeah, exactly. So moving on, science.
Yeah, I think that should probably be a big round 0, really.
I think you are absolutely on the money.
It's a generous 0.
It's a generous 0, to say the least. I mean, where are they getting the power from?
Don't. I'll start. If there's no volume where the light bleeds, it just doesn't.
If there's no volume, then what is generating the light? Because there has to be something generating the light, like a light bee, and if it's
there's got to be a computer running the programs. There's got to be.
Yep. So,
although I will say this, it is the only ship I think we've done to date, which legitimately could be possibly able to do FTL because it has no mass. It is the only one which wouldn't break Einstein's relativity laws.
In which case, it should get a 1 by that measure. In that respect it should, but everything else about it is wrong. So I think they kind of cancel each other out of it. Okay.
We've acknowledged it on the cast. I think that'll do. But yeah, it was.
We gave it a bit of hand wavium, and that was it, right? Okay.
Yeah, shut up. That's why.
Yeah. Right. Okay. So moving on to cool factor.
I'm going to give this 3. It's clearly not my favourite Red Dwarf ship, but it's still pretty good and unique. So yeah, 3 for me.
Okay, Andy.
I'll give it 1/4 portion. Oh wait, that's the wrong film.
What?
I think it'll get. I'm torn between a 1 and a 2 because the interiors are pretty naff. I think they're really naff, to be honest. And the ship itself, while I think it looks kind of cool and interesting in the realm of Red Dwarf, it's still. I'll give it 2.
2. So
I'll go for 2. Yeah.
Okay, so I'll go up to 5. Yeah, I'll give it 2. It's a cool idea. I like the idea of it. So it's not the coolest ship I've ever seen.
It was certainly done better than the Holoship they had in Star Trek.
Well, whatever. That
was just a lump.
That was just a box with screens on the walls.
Yep.
So definitely. So 2 for me, which gives it a cool score of 7. Which puts it a total of 43.
It's going to be one of those nights, isn't it?
It is.
No, I promise you, the Bebop ain't getting anywhere close to that.
No, I looked in the episode of that today. 43 points, which draws it level with the Species A472 Bioship. There you go. So, there you go. And you know what, Pete? I think it's the first ship in a long while that hasn't crashed into anything.
No, it
because it actually physically
because it wasn't able to crash into anything.
Yes, they physically couldn't.
It physically could not crash into something.
Well, I'm sure Rimmer would have found a way if it stayed on board.
Yeah, I was going to say, you'd probably turn it into a hard light hologram and smash into a wall or something. But anyway, right, so there you go. So that's 43 points for the Holoship from Red Dwarf. And now it's over to you, Andy.
I think it's time to blow this scene. Get everybody in the stuff together. Okay, 3, 2, 1, let's jam.
And I think in a first, we've had our first ship with 0 mass.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have our first fishing vessel.
Yay!
On Space Dog Jury. With the Bebop from Cowboy Bebop.
Only the best is suitable for the captain's table.
Absolutely.
More bloody fish fingers.
I
I do it entirely in the style of Captain Birdseye.
Arr.
Jim lad. All right, that's enough of that.
I'm gonna put Captain Pugwash underneath the whole thing as you're talking.
Don't you fucking dare! Don't you fucking dare! If you finish,
where's Stephen Staines?
Stephen Staines, yeah, never mind. Hoist the main brace. Anyway, carry on.
Okay. The Bebop is a converted interplanetary fishing trawler owned and captained by Jet Black. That is his real name. We changed it from Max Power. It is the primary residence and transport for the crew. It consists of Jet, Spike Spiegel, Faye Valentine, Edward, and Aini. For purely disclosure purposes, I should point out that Aini is, in fact, a corgi.
Yes.
The ship has travelled through the solar system to places such as Mars, Tijuana, Ganymede, Venus, and Earth. So I just had to double check. Yeah, Tijuana in here is an asteroid.
Yeah, I was going to say it's not just a holiday location.
Well, it's that too. It could be two things. Originally built to transport fish from the seas of Ganymede, the Bebop was purchased second-hand by Jet, who installed larger engines and upgraded the communication system. It basically features a bridge, living room, kitchen, various quarters. It has a little, well, they call it a ship bay or a shuttle bay, which contains small personal craft for Jet, Faye, and Spike. That's the Swordfish 2 for Spike. I can't remember what Faye's is called at the minute.
What, her ship?
It's the Red Eye and
the Red Tail.
The Red Tail and the Hammerhead. There you go.
Yeah, there's Red Tail, the Hammerhead, and then there was the Swordfish 2.
Yes, that's the one, which is actually a pretty damn sexy ship on all of its own.
Yeah.
Anyway, again, they're employed primarily as a crew of bounty hunters or cowboys. The ship is described as a mono, or machine-operated navigation of outer space, which is science for whatever. I don't know.
It's just a collection of words.
It's words and stuff, yeah. There you go. Primarily in this universe, travel in the solar system is done through a hyperspace system using astral gates, or I think uniquely, again, in the world, you have to pay to use these. And if you don't pay, bad shit can happen.
Yes.
If you try and exit an astral gate while it's closed, you effectively become a no-mass ship like the Holoship we've just seen, and cruise for eternity, transparent, unable to interact with anything.
That's right. You don't phase back into reality, do you?
Yes, it's very bad. So there you go. I mean, that's a very brief summary of Cowboy Bebop. It's a fantastic anime series, and I highly recommend it to anyone who just likes Stacked Up. Think of it in the vein of like a Serenity sort of thing, in so much as it's the crew of a ship going on bounty hunting adventures.
Yes.
And fishing.
No, there's no actual fishing, although it does still land on oceans, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And unique.
Yeah, it does do that.
Yes. All right, shall we do the whole scoring thing?
Yeah, go on. Okay.
Like I said, this ain't going to take long.
No.
Size, not particularly big, 142 metres on its longest axis.
142, which puts it under the halfway mark, so that's a 1.
Way.
Right. Okay. Comes to something when in an episode where basically 2 is the largest and a 1 feels like a victory.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on in. Sublight.
Sublight speed, I mean, it is capable of moving in sublight velocities and stuff like this, but it's not particularly fast. I think it's probably about 2, because it does most of its stuff through the whole astral gate stuff, but it does still have to get from the surface to the gates and everything, and it does it relatively quickly. So, yeah, I'd say 2 on sublight.
But it tends to be sort of heading out to Lagrange points more than anything else, doesn't it?
Yeah, exactly. You've got to get to the Lagrange points.
Yes. Cool.
As far as the FTL, it has to use the astral gate, although in the same way as I think Nemesis the Warlock's ship was, not any ship can use the gates. You have to have some system installed to allow you to use them.
Yes.
So, but that being said, once you're in the gates, you're effectively in a jump gate style network. So I think that's a 3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Yep, that makes sense. Makes sense.
Maneuverability. She's not super maneuverable, but she's not really a slouch. I'd probably peg her at a 3, just middle of the road.
Yeah, it's a typical manga ship, isn't it? It kind of
it's entirely as fast as it needs to be.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I was going to say
Dodge tuna.
Yeah, Dodge tuna. Yeah, kind of trawling for fish.
Yes.
Firepower. Now this will be interesting.
Market 0. No, I'm not arguing over that.
Well,
not even a net, mate. No nets at all.
Well, I was going to say the only thing was, and I was going to throw you a bone, is there in one episode they do actually get a Vulcan cannon and bolt it to the deck.
They do, but it's only for that episode, and it's never seen or referenced again.
And it does require one of the crew to be on the outside actually piloting the gun.
Yeah, it's a bit like with Serenity when they stick that AA gun on the top of the ship in that one,
or the Milano with Drax on the roof.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I mean, the next thing
spaceship.
It's the Genesis argument there, basically. You know, it's not fitted with it, so it doesn't count.
Okay, so 0 it is.
I'll take my 0.
Yep. Active defense.
Active defense. ECM comes under active, doesn't it?
I think so, yes.
Yeah.
In that case, I'll take 1 for that because through the powers of its communication system and its arguably insane tech wizard Edward, it is at one point able to hack an entire planet.
Yes.
And things like that, as you do.
That will come under special, though.
Well, yeah, but it does ECM. It shuts down the defenses on the ships and stuff.
Yes, yeah.
On things. So I think that counts as 1. Passive-wise, it is not heavily armoured, but I think it's slightly more than tinfoil, so I'll probably say 2 under passive. Again, it's kind of as strong as it needs to be, but it's not particularly strong as is.
Yeah.
There's no shields or anything like that.
No, I was going to say, it's very, very much like a sort of like Falcon, sort of barely enough shields. Serenity's a good example, so it is a 1 or a 2.
I'd say a 2 though, because again, I always think 1's more your ISS sort of. You know, you could put your fist through it if you really tried.
Yeah. Okay. Fine. So 2 it is. Special then.
Well, we got armed support craft.
Yes.
In form of the swordfish and the red tail and the hammerhead. So that'll be 1. It's got to be over 4 for maneuverability, so that's nothing there. So we don't get anything for that. I've already claimed 1 for the ECM stuff, so I can't really claim 1 there. So no, I think that's about it.
Okay, fine. Okay, so moving on.
I told you this wouldn't take long.
Yeah.
Crew size. Crew is of 3 adults and 1 child who is part of the crew.
Yes.
And I'm not going to count the dog because even that's a bit cheeky for me. So that'd be 4.
Well, so 4. Well, it doesn't matter. Even if you included the dog, it would still only be 1.
In that case, I'll include the dog. I'll take the 1 then.
Yeah, you don't really want to do that because we then move on to competence score.
Fair point. Well made. Possibly the only point of which we're going to have any sort of a vigorous debate on it. I think they're, on the whole, very competent for what they are. I mean, you can argue about what's the merits of the lifestyle and all that, but you know, they're good at what they do. Unfortunately, again, for bounty hunters, they do seem to have this moral code which keeps getting in the way of big paying gigs and stuff like that, and their search for Woolons.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm thinking probably I'd ask for 4 on competence. You've actually watched this, haven't you, Lee? Or
yeah, I've watched. Well, I used to do when it was on CNX, which was like the sort of Toonami for grown-ups. I used to do lots of promo stuff for Bebop, so I used to catch bits and bobs, and then I watched a couple of episodes. It's on Netflix now, isn't it?
Yeah.
And I watched a couple of episodes today, and it strikes me that the competence is kind of one of those things where they're competent, but the stories never work out in their favour in a positive way other than kind of like they made someone's life a good thing or they've kind of got away with a small scam. And it kind of... But
that comes back to what I was saying before. They've got a moral centre, a moral code, which just doesn't gel with the lifestyle they've chosen.
Exactly. Which is
it's this whole thing of, you know, if they were all legitimately ruthless bastards who no one liked, they could have made a fortune. But they're not. They still try to do the good thing.
So the question is are you measuring their competence or are you measuring their moral worth? Because if you were a pirate, if you were a soldier, yet you were a pacifist, you'd be a pretty shit soldier, but you'd be a great person.
I get what you're saying there, but I still think these are competent people. They all know what to do. Look, they know what's right at the end of the day, and they get the stuff done. When it's important, they manage to stick it. They get themselves out of sticky situations. Yeah, I got to say, I think 4's what they're at. And I think you can see from where I'm at so far. I know. Asking for the sky here.
No, I know that. I do take your point, and I do kind of agree, because it is that Guardians of the Galaxy Firefly.
I mean, that's exactly
kind
it.
of thing.
It's Guardians of the Galaxy. It's the Serenity. It's even Han Solo to a certain point. You know, if you're judging them on are they good at being pirates, scoundrels, marauders, and stuff like that, then no, they're not, because they keep doing the right thing.
Yeah,
and that gets in the way. But even so, they're still competent.
Well, in which case, in terms of that, if you use those as comparison markers, the Serenity and the Falcon and the Milano all got 4. So
yeah,
there you go. By that measure, then they count. So there you go.
Thank you.
Saved by the scores.
Save the system works.
I was going to say, and now to go back on the old episodes and see how many times you argued against those scores of 4.
Well, no, with on all of those ones, actually, I think I was talked down.
Yeah. Okay, so moving on to realization. Here we go. This
realization, always a fun one. So yeah, I mean, again, as Pete mentioned earlier, I think this is one of the most unique ships visually we've had so far. Just to describe it to anyone who's never seen the Bebop before, it's described as a fishing spaceship, as you do. A man types Bebop into a search engine and gets loads of pictures of a pig with a mohawk.
Yeah.
But effectively, what you have is like the forward section is kind of hull-shaped like a ship, and it reaches back outwards to the engines and these downward fins, because the ship is actually designed to land on the oceans, on the water, because there's water on Mars now, so I'm told from Doctor Who.
Yes.
Again, it's anime, it's a drawing and stuff like that. It's not a physical model. But I still think, given the budgets and stuff like that, it looks really good. It's consistent throughout, and I like it. It makes sense in doing what it does. You know, it's got that kind of beat up, kind of old look to it. It doesn't look like anything special, because it's not supposed to be anything special. It's again in the same vein as the Falcon of Serenity and everything like that. But again, it being anime and being hand drawn and all that, I'm going to ask for 3.
A 3, okay. What about you, Pete? Are you looking at any pictures of it?
Yeah.
Go on.
Yeah. I mean, it's a very odd looking thing.
Yeah. I mean,
it's more like a mosquito than anything.
You and your animal.
Mosquito. Are you sure you're looking at the Bebop, not the swordfish?
Hold on. Let me pass this one across. There you go, in the chat now.
Blonk.
Yeah, that's the Bebop. The red thing is the swordfish, which is one of the armed support craft.
That's what I'm looking at, definitely.
Yeah, and then if you see one that's kind of blunted off and sort of grey, that's the that's the hammerhead, and then the red. I don't think we got many.
The hammerheads looks almost like a hovercraft with a crane on the top.
Yeah, and
the red tail is like a flying eyeball with 2 big guns.
That's right. Yeah, hold on, I've got a picture of that. View image. Grab that. Copy that. Stick that in the chat.
That's not too bad.
Yeah, it's got kind of a boat sort of motif. That's the what's it? Red tail. Yeah. So
I've actually got a picture here of it landing on the sea. If you want.
Yeah. I mean, I think 3 is fine for this. I mean.
Yeah, I'm happy with a 3 for it.
It's not offensive. It's not horrible. Oh, what was that?
Oh, that was just me sending you the.
Oh, right. God. Right.
Landing on the ocean.
It's just somebody. My head just went boom. Okay. Yeah, that's it. It's pretty. See, pictures like that don't do it any favors, because what you do is you don't get those sort of nice scratchy details that you get when they going for a glory shot in anime. But yeah, but no, I think it looks lovely. It's an interesting looking ship, and again, I appreciate interesting looking ships. So I'm down with a 3. And Pete, you're down with a 3?
Yep.
Yep, 3's cool. Okay, well that's better than that. Went smoother than expected. Okay, so interior realisation then.
Oh, interior, we do actually see quite a few of the rooms in here. There's a living quarters we see throughout. There's the bridge, console. There's some corridors. They've all got their own individual rooms. Again, they're animated. They're all hand drawn, but by and large, very well done. You do get to see the hangar bay as well, which is kind of cool. I like the fact you got the ships like put in one by one, and the swordfish has to kind of fold its wings to fit in there, which is kind of a cool little effect as well. I'm just going to go middle of the road again and ask for a 3. I think when it comes to anime spaceships, especially, I think this is one of the better realised interiors we see.
Yeah,
mostly because we see some of it,
and it is fairly consistent. In fact, it's consistent enough that in the Cowboy Bebop game that was on the PS2, you could actually,
way back when, yes,
way back when, you could actually walk around the ship, and it was all based off the actual. Well, it looked like anime, so
yeah.
Well, I'm saying that, but I'm sure that Rose Tinted Specs would come off as soon as I looked at it on YouTube, and it would.
Oh yeah. Don't look at that game. Ain't good.
No. So okay, I mean, so were you after 3?
3.
Okay. What about you, Pete?
Oh, I have no point of reference on this one, so I'll just go what you guys say.
Okay, fair enough. So on to the science.
Well, science again. Of all these spaceships, there's things it does which is right, things which aren't right. I mean, we do have a rotating section on here for gravity, which is nice.
In the centre, yeah.
And it also, I mean, throughout the course of the series, we have instances like where, as I mentioned before, you have to pay to use the astral gates. And when they couldn't pay, they have to schlep to the next planet or whatever where they can do at the sublight speeds. They're doing the whole trying to conserve energy and stuff like that. And
yeah.
Anti-gravity breaks down at one point and they have to be weightless within the confines of the ship to get around. I even quite like the concept of the water landing there, because if you think about it, a ship coming down at high velocities and stuff like that, you can't necessarily build long runways on, because on Mars, for example, all they've terraformed is effectively a large crater.
Yeah.
And you can't build massive long runways there. So what they've done is they've actually kind of got a sea there, which provides water for everyone as well, but it's also a good landing place for spacecraft and everything like that. Equally, though, we've got things like the FTL, the astral gates and all that, which are a little bit out there. As far as the science goes, again, it's not all the way out there. I think I'll ask for a 4. That choking on your tea there tells me all I need to know. But I don't think it's any more outrageous than, say, the Normandy, say the Sulaku, then
yeah. I mean, I take your point. Yeah.
Well,
no.
Finish your thought. You started to say you're finished.
I'm just trying to work, because as soon as you said 4, I just balked, and I was trying to work out why I did it, and it was like, is it because this ship is kind of?
Is it because it's an anime?
Yeah, or is it because it's the most unaerodynamic thing ever, yet somehow it manages to fly through the atmosphere like a plane and also land on the water? And
if you look up, a dinosaur. No, I'm going to say though, it is actually, when it comes to that, it's shaped like a lifting body. It actually makes more sense than a lot of these ships for that.
Yeah, I mean, I take your point. I mean, I'm not gonna fight it. I'm just trying to work through my own head whether or not why I suddenly went fuck off in my head. But
I thought that's just a reflex action, isn't it?
Yeah, standard reaction, isn't it? I'll tell you what, let's just give it a 4, because Pete's got no frame of reference and I can't work out why I had the reaction I did. So 4, fine. Okay. So cool factor.
Oh, I'm giving it 4 because I love the Bebop. On the theme song alone, I'd give it a 4.
Okay. Pete.
Space boot.
Straight up, Pete. I'll just say this straight up. I honestly, is this on Netflix? You were saying, Pete?
Yes.
Lee?
Yes.
I honestly think you'd enjoy this.
Mm-hmm. I think you would too. I think you would.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'll punt for a 2 at the moment.
Okay, so that's 6. I think this is a very cool ship, but there's something about it which both makes me go, this is really smart and really cool, and I like it. But then on the other hand, you see it from some angles, and it looks just like someone just started drawing a boat, got bored, and then drew a box. And it's like, so I'm going to split the difference because I can't say I love it, but I can't say I hate it. So I'm going to call it a 2. So gives that a cool score of 8. So there you go. So the Bebop has a score of 36.
I actually got better than I thought it would.
Yeah, well, it's not a bad ship, really. It's just not an outstanding one. So 36, which puts that around the Event Horizon and the Draconia.
See, that's what you need on the soundboard. You need that.
Yeah, exactly. I do need that. So yeah, the Draconia, and it beats the Hermes and the Eagle Transporter and Discovery 1. So are you happy with yourself now?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm not the one that brought Species 847 and then got that above in Australia.
I know. I'm just trying to make myself feel better, really.
You brought that on yourself, mate.
Yeah, I know.
No one forced you to do that one.
No. I can only blame myself. Like I say, between this and Manos Hands of Fate on the Black Dog, I've made some poor life choices in the last couple of weeks. But anyway, so there you go. So that means that Pete and I have drawn in first place. That's a odd one. So there you go. So that's it. So
well, you say that. You say that. I will point out you still had to watch Voyager, and so I actually think that makes Pete the winner.
Pete, what, do you want me to give Pete an extra point purely for that?
No, I'm just saying in the purposes of who's the winner, he didn't have to watch Voyager.
Yes.
So I won.
Oh, so yeah, okay, fair enough. So I'll mark that down for next week that he can go last. So there you go. Right, okay. So that just leaves us now to work out what we're going to do for the next episode, and we have decided on the following ships. So Andy, what ship are you bringing?
Oh yes, I'm going to do the shitty ship from Atlantis.
From Atlantis?
Yes, the shitty ship.
The shitty ship?
Yes, the shitty ship.
From Stargate Atlantis?
Yes.
Forgive me, but that never gets off the planet.
But you're wrong, it does.
Okay. Fine. Right, fine. So the city ship from Stargate Atlantis?
No, it's the shitty ship.
It's the shitty ship from Stargate Atlantis.
The shitty ship from Atlantis.
Okay. Please don't do that accent anymore. And what about you, Pete? What are you bringing?
Well, I decided I'm going to bring something from Doctor Who because that always goes down so well.
Yeah.
I'm going to bring Scaroff's Jagaroff ship from City of Death.
Sorry, Jagoff is what?
Scaroff's Jagaroff ship. It's a really catchy title. Douglas Adams, blame him.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, fine. And I'm going to be bringing Talon from Farscape. There you go.
It's Cricket somewhere, I think.
Yeah. Well, there you go. It's different. Does need a pilot. It's organic. Needs a pilot. It's fine.
Fair enough.
It's been a long time since I've seen it. May have made a terrible mistake, but we'll see. But I know that it's got more weapons than Moya, so at least I stand some chance. So there you go. So there you go. So we'll be doing Jagoff's Jackoff ship.
Scaroff's
Jagaroff Jackoff. I don't know. You're gonna have to write that down for me. A city, which effectively goes fucking nowhere.
Is it built on rock and roll?
It is.
Excellent. I'm all for it then.
Excellent.
and then on top of that, I'm doing a baby spaceship.
Yeah.
Because why not? Baby space whale. Yeah. Wicked. So there you go. So yes, join us for a jackoff, a whale, and a city. Which,
walk into a bar.
Yeah, I was going to say, sounds like some kind of new age punk band. But there you go, Jagoff whale, and the city. I don't know. Anyway, so join us for that. But before we go, it's time for a bit of promotions from my co-host.
Ooh, free cheese.
Free cheese, yes. So, Pete, you want to tell us a little bit about what you're doing?
Other than running to and from the toilet, you mean?
Yes, apart from that.
Okay. When I'm not doing that, I'm doing a podcast. Hey! And we're covering season 5 of Deep Space Nine on the old broadcast on iTunes and Geek Planet Online.
And what about you, Andy?
You can find me and Mr. Elton McManus talking about things going around in circles really, really fast. The Grand Prix podcast, which is at rogue2media.com. And also entirely possible at some point, we'll get back to doing the Band of Brothers podcast.
Wicked. And you can find me on the Black Dog podcast, which is just about anywhere that you can search the words Black Dog podcast. And yes, do join us on the Facebook group for this podcast at facebook.com/groups/SpaceDogJury, and on Twitter we're at SpaceDogJury. And so that's it. So thank you very much for listening. Thank you, Pete. Thank you, Andy. And join us for next time for an episode which is going to be very odd, I suspect, as we can't actually work out how to say the names of the ship. It's going to be a weird one. Until next time, thanks very much for listening, and we'll see you soon. Tatty bye.
Merry Christmas.
I should go.
You just can't say that.
Space Dog Jury is a production by 3 Angry Beards for GeekPlanetOnline.com.